So we are joined today by, of course, Ronnie, who you've already met. We have Steve Muscroft-Taylor from Bureau Seating, Ken Dick from Martech, and of course, Wayne Beaucamp, our consultant who's going to be involved in our Stump the Consultant session. Welcome to you all. Great to have you on board for today's session. And great, of course, to talk about this topic. Now, it's been said that the world's most valuable resource is no longer oil, but data. Others have expanded on this, suggesting that data is the most valuable asset that a company owns. With this in mind, how important is data to your organization? And I might ask this question of you, Ronnie.
Thanks, Steve. Yes, certainly very, very important and becoming more and more important. I think a couple of things have changed. I think that if you want to compare it to oil, I think the data is the raw oil. It still needs to go through a process and be synthesized and refined before you can actually use it. You can very easily drown in too much data. But what has changed is that the data analytics and the analytical engines and also the data presentation has become affordable to businesses of this size, whereas before, even 5 years ago, it was the domain of the big end of town, the guys that had huge budgets and they could afford the software, whereas now software as a service, you purchase what you use and you can start getting really, really valuable insights into your business. As I said before, use it wisely, and then I think you will find that it is the new oil.
That's great, Ronnie. Perhaps just expanding upon that, Ken, let me ask you, how do you maximize the value of your data while ensuring it's available to the right people at the right time and the right place?
I think to answer that, I probably need to give a little bit of a description of Martech and the way that it operates. Martech is a company, we sell ceiling fans and LED lighting and bathroom heaters into the electrical wholesale space. But one of the things that I learned about this business when I came 7 years ago was how fast it operated. We have orders come in, get entered, sent to the warehouse, picked and packed and shipped every day. So we don't have a traditional, pipeline like people who work in the, architectural space do. So for us, the data and then the speed of the data has become really, really important. So we need to get the information into our system, and then we need to be able to convert it very quickly and get the products out the door. But from my point of view as the general manager looking after trying to predict what's going to happen in the future, that being able to get all of the data that we need and present it in a way that we can use, and then more importantly, share it with the right people has become the key. And I guess in our Exo days, we partnered through Kilimanjaro with Focus, and we were able to then convert all of that information into usable data and share it amongst our sales and marketing teams so that we made the right decisions.
That's great, Ken. Now, look, we are just going to do a couple of polls just to get some feedback from those that are attending today. I'll ask our creative director just to put up a poll, just a question here around how much time and effort it takes for you to manage data within your organization. So I encourage you to answer that and give us your feedback. Just continuing on, it's been said that without a systematic way to start and keep data clean, that bad data will happen. Steve, can you tell us a little bit more about Bureau and perhaps give us some insight into the importance of data hygiene and the steps that you take to ensure the hygiene of data at Bureau Seating?
Yeah, so just a bit of context, I suppose. Bureau Seating has been around for about 25 years, and over that time, about 20 of those years, we've used Exo. So it means there's a lot of data in our system, and a lot of that data sometimes isn't that clean as well. But In terms of context, like Martech, we're also a wholesaler, so we sell to resellers. So we can't see a lot into the future either. So we rely on data to try and have a look in the past, to try and work out what the future will hold. And we do that through the use of tools such as, I suppose, NetStock and Power BI. And when we look at either of those particular products, it's important that the data goes into those products is clean. If you don't, you get the wrong outcomes. So we spend a lot of time, I suppose, or certainly I do, having a look at the data and trying to work out the smartest ways of making the data clean. Using Exo, you can obviously do that by creating extra fields and customizing them so you capture only the data you want to capture. Outside of that, when it might be the likes of trying to integrate freight invoicing from 4 or 5 carriers into Power BI so you can compare your freight costs per job, then a lot of that is important to try and make sure the data you're pulling through, that some might be an Excel sheet, some might be CSV, some might be in a PDF, can be imported correctly into Power BI. You then go through the step of tidying it up, and then you use the unique identifier being the sales order and linking that through to Exo. So each of those steps, I suppose, it's important that that you understand where the data is coming from, what the inherent challenges can be with the data, obviously going through and resolving those challenges or tidying up the data or removing the errors. And then finally, once you've got the data in a consistent format, is obviously about the presentation of that data to the relevant party, whether that be to middle management, senior management, sales team. You need to be able to present the data so they can look at it and use it to make decisions rather than look at it and then it becomes overwhelming. So that's sort of the 2 challenges I've got is making sure the data is clean and then finding a format in which to present it so that it is actually used as opposed to me just wasting my time making pretty graphs. So I seem to find that's the important steps that I certainly find when it comes to data.
That's great, Steve. Always good to get some insights. Now, Wayne, I'm going to hit you up with a question. Of course, for all of you on today's session, I do encourage you to use that Q&A button to make sure that you hit Wayne up with some more questions. He is going to be our technical consultant of the day. And I do take great pleasure in stumping the consultant, but I need your help. So please do use that Q&A button. Wayne, let me ask you, what system features or other tools do you use or recommend to analyze data when you're engaging with clients?
Thanks, Stephen. In my sessions today, I will be going through that in a little bit of detail. Exo does have some nice features inbuilt that do help us with the capture and reporting of information in Exo. Obviously, there's all of our operational clarity reports. There are some additional insights that we can use through external tools as well. One of the big draw cards these days is definitely BI tools, and I will be looking and giving a bit of a demo of that a little bit further in the day. We do find our customers still like some of the lovely ways of exporting to Excel and using quick inserts and extra fields and all of those lovely things that Exo does give you, but certainly there's some much nicer alternatives as well. And I do see from our requests dealing with a lot of you out there that now we're looking a bit more rather than just operational requirements. We're looking for that insight and analysis and being able to help you get the best out of your data, which is one of the themes of today.
Fantastic. That's great. Thank you, Wayne. Ronnie, what do you think is one of the biggest challenges when analysing data?
The biggest challenges. Oh, look, I do think it's getting the alignment between what you're expecting to see and what you actually see. I think that you've got to have a very open mind about that, because you've got to look out for just simply trying to confirm your own bias. when you're looking at data, do it with an open mind. That's a difficult thing. That's a difficult thing for most people. Yeah.
Absolutely. Ken, over to you. Are there any unique things that you think Martech does or considers regarding data? Perhaps either something that you do that's industry specific, or where you feel you're trying to push the boundaries with the organisation?
Yeah, I think one of the points that Ronnie made in his presentation earlier about precision and accuracy is really important in our business, because we have our industry confuses precision and accuracy and doesn't quite understand that, you know, we sell units. We sell one fan, one light, one bathroom heater, not bits of fans or bits of product. And of course, I think precision and accuracy become a cost thing. If you want to be super precise and super accurate, then that adds a lot of cost to your business. So we shouldn't be getting confused within the business about we need to have things to 5 decimal places, and we need to have information that is, you know, super duper accurate. I think the presentation that Ronnie did with the apples, that was just perfect. All you need to know about an apple is that it's roughly 150 grams. You don't need to know that it's 150.786134. And I think a lot of businesses get hung up on this precision, and particularly when you're in a service and product related business like ours. We don't make anything, so we don't look at efficiency to 4 decimal places because it doesn't add any value. We only look at, we sell units, so we need to get that data all sorted out around the unit so that we can measure it the right way and don't get cluttered up with the 5th decimal place. Focus on the first number, not the last number. Much more important.
That's great, Ken. I think there is a reality for most of us is data can become a massive distraction. I know in a lot of organizations, you know, you have this focus on KPIs or the one metric that matters, and it really is about trying to bring a spotlight to what you're trying to analyze, where the business needs to focus. So sometimes that can actually be a moving target. I think if those KPIs and that all those one metrics that matter stay consistent over the course of years, you might want to relook at where you're shining that spotlight. Now, Steve, over to you. I'm interested to understand, are there sort of any opportunities that Bureau has that you see ahead to better understand or use data within the organisation?
For us, I sort of alluded to it before that since COVID came along, before COVID, people used to go into stores to buy product, buy their chairs. Now they have a tendency of ordering it and expecting it to turn up on their doorstep the same day, which is now impossible. But the challenge that's come from actually doing that is as our distribution model has changed a lot. So before, when you would have priced in the cost of something to send it to a store, you used to be sending things in bulk. You used to be sending pallets. Now people receive cartons. So your cost model has changed quite considerably in terms of what it now costs to deliver an item or to deliver to an end user. So what we've obviously seen during that period of time is reasonably significant increases in our freight costs. So to better understand why that is, or how we can get a better handle on that, requires a fair bit of analysis on our data. Doesn't mean that we need to change our pricing strategies when it comes to end users. Do we need to penalise end users for receiving cartons to their front doorstep? Those sorts of things. So for us, I suppose it's not a lot about how we need to physically change, but once we actually understand the data, then it just means all we need to do is tweak our business model, and effectively that can have a reasonably significant change on our margins. So for us, it's drilling into that data, seeing specifically where your costs, where your pain points are, and resolving those. And by doing that, then yeah, you bring things back into alignment or where they need to be. So yeah, for us, it's not about significantly changing the model, but it's about understanding the key drivers in the background and using the data to do that so that we can improve the direction we take moving forward. So yeah, that's where we see getting our biggest bang for buck from that point of view.
That's great, Steve. I think a lot of organisations can probably relate to the fact that COVID certainly changed a lot of things. I think, we're all reviewing what our pricing models need to look like. They talk about the post-COVID world, and I think we're still all trying to see what that looks like. Many of us have seen either a significant reduction in business over that period or a significant increase in business. And now we're trying to settle back into that new normal. And for organisations such as Bureau, there has definitely been a change in terms of that distribution expectation. I think, Ken, you can probably relate to that as well in terms of your organisation. And I'm sure many of those on today's session can relate as well. Ronnie, back over to you. How do you think the commercialisation of artificial intelligence, machine learning, those sorts of technologies will change the consumption, analysis and insights gained from data?
I think there will be massive changes, but I think there's still a long way to go. I think that we haven't really even got to the intelligent use of data. The step after that would be the artificial intelligence, but I think there's still work to be done in understanding what insights data can give to us in our own businesses. However, if you look at something like ChatGPT or large language models, they certainly are able to crunch through verbiage, if I can put it that way, not so good at crunching through numbers. So I imagine as time proceeds, there will be models that can do both. And one should be able to get more meaningful insights out of the data that you have available at the time. But yes, certainly very, very valuable aids in picking up patterns and trends that you couldn't easily pick up with a calculator and an Excel spreadsheet.
That's great. Thank you, Ronnie. Do appreciate it. And thank you to all of our panelists today. Great to have you all on board and great to get some insights from each of you.